All right, here we go back again with another one. Colorado Buffaloes midweek live with Big Dog Chico and Brian Howell. And here we are. For everybody out there, man, we coming off a big win. Everybody know Colorado Buffaloes impressed with the dominant 34-7 win over Arizona, showcasing a complete performance again for Coach Prime. I would say that's probably number 2 in the Coach Prime era. But despite the win, they remain unranked in the AP poll with no one mentioning them as of right now. We'll get into that and more right here on the Colorado Buffaloes midweek live. Brian Howell, how you doing? Talk to me. What's happening?
I'm good. How are you? And it was nice to see your smiling face in person down at Arizona Stadium. And yeah, I don't think we've ever met in person. Maybe there was one game last year that because Adam
Oh,
Munstreiger
yeah.
thought we might have met you one other time, but
Yeah,
either way, it was good to see you. So it was nice
right.
to see you in Arizona, and you picked a good one to go to because the Buffs certainly looked really good in that one. And boy, Arizona's a mess, but you have to give credit to Colorado for pouncing on that and taking advantage of Arizona being vulnerable. And teams don't always do that, but Colorado did. They went out there and took it to them.
Yes, indeed. Like I said, 34-7. And Arizona was one of those teams that were pretty good at protecting their quarterback throughout the
Yeah,
year. And then Colorado hadn't been really hitting their stride in the sack game. And man, really hit the stride this game with 7 sacks versus Noah Fafita in that offensive line, who features a big draft pick projected to be a first rounder. We were able to get around him and that offensive line. They did have one guy go down, Big Rhino, and they brought
yeah.
in a backup, and we really started to pounce on Noah at that point then. But good game by the Buffs. What are some of your takeaways from that game?
Yeah, well, first off, I mean, Arizona had a lot of 6 sacks in the first 6 games, and
Hmm.
CU got to them 7 times. And it's not just that game. I was looking this up too. Kansas State, CU got Kansas State's Avery Johnson 4 times the week before. K-State's allowed 4 sacks in the other 6 games combined. So
Yeah,
the Buffs have gotten 2 teams in a row that don't normally allow a lot of sacks. And Okunlola and Keaton Wade both had 2 sacks the other day. A stat that I tweeted out earlier this week was CU had 1 2-sack game all of last year. That was
right.
Jordan Dominic. And the Buffs had 2 of them just the other day. They've got 5 of them already this season. They lead the Big 12, and that's surprising because 4 weeks in, the narrative was like, man, they can't get to the quarterback. And now
Right.
they lead the conference in sacks.
And you mentioned those 2 sack games this year or last year. It was only Jordan Dominic with that one. This year
Yeah.
we've had BJ Green had multiple, Deion Hayes, Tajay McCoy, Sam Okunlola, and Keaton Wade coming back this past game and getting 2 sacks in his first game back. Um, I guess we can go ahead and jump into that right quick since
Yeah.
we didn't have it on the list. But Keaton Wade mentioned the fact that I think the coaches want him to red shirt. This is his first game back. And for everybody out there that don't realize, you can red shirt. You could play up to 4 games, but still red shirt for the season. So I think
Yeah.
they're going to strategically pick those games that they want him to play in so that he can still protect that red shirt and knowing that he can still be productive out there, especially with those 2 sacks last game. How important is that for Keaton Wade to still remain and retain that year?
Yeah, I think that's good for him. He had not used his red shirt yet. And as we know, anybody that follows, watches the well off videos, we saw him in a walking boot for a number of weeks, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he was really behind everybody. And I'm glad it's not a lost season for him, but it was
Hmm.
certainly a shortened season for him because of that injury. And so when you miss half the year anyway, when there's 6 games left, playing 4 of them, you can still redshirt. And I like how they're going to use it because they've got a lot of guys. If this was last year and you really needed to find somebody else to rush the passer, might be
Yeah.
different. But when you got 5, 6 guys that can do it, they can be strategic with it. Deion Hayes has missed 3 games in a row. I would imagine that he'll be back at some point. I haven't heard that he won't be. But Keaton is a guy that you got in your back pocket and like, hey, let's dress you. And if we need you, get out there. And if
Yeah.
not, don't. And the funny thing is he only played 11 snaps the other day, but it was
Wow.
you know,
Productive.
yeah, like can you find 11 more, another 11 snap day that's as productive as that? I mean, that was pretty darn
Right.
good.
Yes, indeed, man. Those 2 sacks once again, and the defense are averaging right now. They're averaging 3 sacks per game.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like you said, leading the Big 12 at the number 21. They
Yeah.
have 21 right now to lead the Big 12, but no top 25 vote. You being one of the AP voters, why do you think they didn't receive a top 25 vote as of right now? Before you answer that, maybe I'll kind of set it up and say this right here.
Yeah.
From the player point of view, from a coach point of view, or from a just a team point of view, we don't even care. We're not
Right.
even looking at it. We don't care. Hopefully, they don't pick us next week and the following week. But when it comes when it comes time to it, down to that fact to where it's the end of the season
Yeah.
and we have to win out, and it starts with this game right here, then it'll matter whether we are ranked or not. Tell us, why do you think they haven't received a vote?
Yeah, I think it's because the lack of big wins. As an AP voter, just to go through my process a little bit, I rank about 35, 40 teams every week, and I turn in my
Okay.
top 25. But I have a spreadsheet where I rank about 40 or so, and there's about 40, 50 teams I look at every week. I actually have CU number 26 on my list, and number 25 this week came down to them and Vandy, who are both 5 and 2. But Vandy has a win over number 1 Alabama, number 1 at the time Alabama, and Colorado. Their best wins, frankly, are against Baylor, who's 3 and 4, UCF, who's 3 and 4, Arizona, who's 3 and 4. So they don't have that marquee win yet. And the bottom line is, there's about 15 teams that are legitimately have legitimate claims on those last 5 spots in the poll, but you can only rank 5 of them. So, and it's hard to not rank Army and Navy right now because they're undefeated. It's hard to not rank Pitt because they're undefeated. And so Colorado, bottom line is, they just don't have a big win yet. But if they keep winning, they'll get in there. And Chico, I don't know if you've looked at the schedule, but a lot of those teams that are in like 18 to 25 this week, they got some tough matchups. And so I think if CU can win this week, and 3 or 4 of those teams lose, I bet you CU, if they're not in there, they're going to get a lot of votes. They'll be in there for me if a few of those teams lose.